Well, this team was looking rough for most of this game. They came alive in the eighth, but that was pretty much it. And this was, overall looking at this one, sure, got exciting there late, but this team, they're looking pretty rough right now. There's the post Roman Anthony era is it's not looking dandy right now, and we'll break that down tonight. A lot of offense in the eighth there. I mean, you really thought maybe they had a shot there, but there were a couple of moments early in the game where, and I wasn't a big fan of, and offensively. And then you take a look at Peyton Toley's second start here in the major leagues. This is where you had the excitement against the Pirates in the first start, but here tonight, this is where you see what he needs to work on, and the Dbacks, give them credit as well. This is a team, they had a lot of injuries this year, a very disappointing year for the Dbacks, but they have been playing well over the last couple of weeks here, over the last few weeks. Since the deadline, they've actually got a pretty solid record, right around, I think, 9-10 games over 500. This is a team that makes a lot of contact. They have the 8th lowest strikeout percentage in the major leagues. And you saw that here tonight. They made Toley work a lot here tonight. You had several at-bats that got deep counts. They were just putting the bat on the ball. They were making life pretty miserable for him tonight. He only had 2 strikeouts. Sure, we know how good the fastball is. We know the life on it. We know the extension that he has. We know the velo that he has coming from the left side. But this is where the secondaries are going to have to get better. And this is where the command is going to have to get better. Making more competitive pitches, right? Working those quadrants a little bit more. Not just trying to throw fastballs down the heart of the plate and expect to get a swing and miss on all of them. He's going to have to, start working around the zone a bit more. Sure, can, Garrett Crochet, can he get around with that? Yeah, he can. Because he has that stuff to where he can blow some guys away. And Toley can as well. But the difference with Crochet is he uses the secondaries very well to keep guys off balance. Peyton Toley, he's not there yet, right? And you saw that's something that he needs to work on moving forward. But again, going up against a tough lineup, you got talent all over this lineup here. Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, just to name a couple. Perdomo gave him fits all night here tonight. So I think it was a good learning experience for Peyton Toley here, but it is what it is. But, getting back to the offense, we'll go through it here. I got my notes, but, sure, they had that 8th inning. They came alive. But this offense right now, it's starting to worry me a little bit. I'm not trying to get, just completely doom and gloom over here, but this is what I talked about the other night, and it's going to be a challenge, right, for this team to find their groove without that guy that you had in Roman setting the table. Duran back in the leadoff spot tonight, like I expected, but you just felt that difference there tonight. You just feel like you didn't have that guy just setting the tone, right? I love Jarren Duran, but there's a difference, and I liked where Duran was lower in the order, where, with the dynamic offense that he has, I liked him a little bit lower. I just liked that composure that Roman had at the top of the order, right? You felt that difference here tonight. Bullpen, Justin Slayton, credit Greg Weissert, Murphy here tonight. Kept it locked down. You're down by 5 runs. I know it's low leverage spots for those guys, but hey, Murphy, he walked a few guys here tonight, gave up a run, but they held it down. But then Justin Slayton, who would have thought Justin Slayton would be the guy out of the bullpen where we got a lot of negativity to talk about. Just like with Toley, Slayton's got some stuff to work on too. He just came back from the IL not too long ago. You can see, the command's not quite there. The stuff. How do I say this? I know how good Justin Slayton can be. We've all seen how good the stuff can be with him. But tonight he felt very average, right? He just didn't have that same bite that we're used to seeing, right? He didn't have that uptick in the velo. He didn't have quite the bite on the curveball, leaving him hanging to a couple of batters there. Corbin Carroll being one of them there. Just meatballs, So he's still got some work to do. And luckily, he's got a couple of weeks to figure this out. But yeah, tough night. Tough night overall. Just all aspects of the game here tonight. But everybody, this is a late night post-game show. I'm not expecting a whole lot of traffic in the live show, so going to keep it pretty tidy here tonight. There's not a whole lot to dive into. We'll check out the standings. Again, it is late here, almost 1 a.m. on the East Coast. If you are tuning in, thank you. Appreciate that. If you are listening to this in podcast format or replay format, thank you for joining. Much appreciated. But if you can, everybody, hit the like button for us. Subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get to 5K by the end of the season. We got less than a month to go. I think we can do it. Also, everybody, if you are live with me, I know it's late, but we got a new camera here today. I decided to up the camera game, and I've got some different lighting going on. Please give me feedback in the show here. Give me feedback after the show in the comments. Let me know what you think, because I think I'm getting pretty close with all the technical stuff here. I'm not good with this stuff, but let me know your thoughts on it after the show. Let's get to it here, everybody. Let's get to it. Let's dive into Peyton Tolley, right? Let's kind of get this started off. The usual Tolley. Lots of fastballs here. What I did notice, sure, we'll get to the negatives here in a second, but if there was a positive, the slider, it's kind of a negative and a positive mixed into one. There was more velo on his slider tonight, and he was getting more induced vertical break. So you were seeing better stuff with the slider tonight. The problem was he was just getting hit around with it, and he just wasn't locating it very well. The command on it wasn't great. So the Dbacks, they were averaging right around 99 miles per hour on the exit velo on that pitch. So you did see the potential with it. There was something there with it. It just wasn't really, in the end, it was not an effective pitch, but that was more location. And the first inning, the D-backs, they got started off hot. They were aggressive right out of the gate. Perdomo with the home run, but a fastball right down the middle. Again, you can have a good fastball. You can have the good life, the good velo, but you can't be throwing fastballs right down the middle, especially to Perdomo. This guy's been having a good year with the bat. It was the 9th pitch. This is one of the several ABs that had deep counts. 9th pitch there. Still, though, you got to make a more competitive pitch. He ran into a little bit more trouble in the first inning. Carroll with the base hit. Blaze Alexander with the walk, but he was able to get out of it. Second inning, kept on going there. Jordan Lawler, ground rule double. Ended up getting moved over to third. Tyler Locklear with the ground out. Put him in a better position. Then a wild pitch. Ketel Marte ended up scoring him. That made it 2-1 at the time. I'll get to the offense in a second. But then a 13-pitch AB in that Ketel Marte at-bat. 13 pitches, man. Holy cow. And that was after getting ahead 0-2. He got ahead 0-2 to Ketel Marte. Credit to him as well for extending the AB that long after going down 0-2. And then ended up walking him. I mean, that's something Tolley is going to have to figure out here moving forward. It's good to pound the strike zone, but again, you got to kind of try and hit those corners a little bit. Go back to that AB. There's just a lot of stuff basically just getting poured right down the heart of that zone. He's got to make more competitive pitches there. He's got to hit the outside quadrants a little bit more, in my opinion. Yeah, that was very deflating at that point. And then the third inning, he struck out Carroll on 4 pitches, so he got off to a good start there. And he only used secondary pitches in that AB. But then after this, it looked like the long inning or the long ABs prior to that were maybe getting to him a little. Looked like he was kind of running out of gas. And he walked Moreno, walked Alexander, and Ildemaro Vargas with a 3-run shot. Made it 5-1. He fell behind 3-1 of the count, and then he just poured a fastball right down the middle. I mean, come on. You can't be just throwing 3-1 fastball 94 miles an hour right down the heart of the plate. I mean, that's a meatball. I don't care what kind of life it's got on it. Guys are going to go to town on that kind of a pitch. We got a couple of line outs, and that ended up being it for Tolley. 3 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned, couple of Ks, 4 walks. This is a learning experience for Peyton Tolley here, and he went up against a good lineup. And we'll see how he does his next time out. We got a super chat. Corbin Barrows, $2. Hats off to you, Robbie. Got to be, 1 a.m.? It is 12:58 Eastern Time. It is late. It is way past my bedtime. I am going to bed as soon as we are done here. I appreciate the super chat. Really, it does mean a lot on a late night. Corbin Barrels, thank you for that, my friend. So, before we get any further, we do have a word from one of our sponsors tonight. I'll be right back.
FT fam, designer clothes can be expensive, but we want our clothes to look good. We want to feel good. We want them to be affordable. And Kratz, if you tell me that I can wear a t-shirt that looks like it's tailored, but it's not actually tailored, and it just comes that way, then sign me up for True Classic.
Have to. You got to sign up for it because these shirts are soft, they're thin, they're durable, and they're very versatile. You can wear them to the gym. You can wear them out to a nice dinner. Let's get after it because these shirts are the real deal.
They are. Check it out. I've got one of the performance ones. It's a nice blue, fits well. I can go to the gym. I can go out. I can do FT in a shirt like this. FT fam, there's a reason why True Classic has sold over 25 million shirts to more than 5 million customers. And they are racking up over 200,000 5-star reviews. See for yourself with our exclusive link at trueclassic.com/foul to save. That's trueclassic.com/FOUL.
Alrighty, let's get to the rest of the show, shall we? Let's get to it here. Everybody, if you can, hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. John, I see you in the chat. Robbie is burning the midnight oil. We're late over here, my friend. We are burning all the oil here tonight. Brownie in the chat. Looking grim down the stretch. You know, ever since Roman went down, it felt like the air left the building. I'm thinking, okay, day off yesterday, regroup a little bit, you'll be all right. And then, nice to see the comeback here tonight. We'll get to that in a second, but, I don't know. Something just, there is a disturbance in the force. Sorry to bring up some Star Wars puns right there. The offense. Let's get to the offense here. Second inning. You got off to the good start. Romy had the base hit. Nate Logue is keeping on doing what he's doing here with the Red Sox. Came up with the RBI triple. Got the Red Sox on the board. The guy's been great, man. I'll talk about Nate Logue in just a little bit. Third inning. This is where you felt like, speaking of air leaving the building, this is kind of where you felt that here in this game until way later. So the D-backs, in the bottom of the second inning, they took the 2-1 lead. Starting off the third inning, Duran lined out. Narvaez drew the walk. Bregman with the base hit. Nice to see Bregman coming alive in this. We'll get to Bregman here in a little bit. Or we'll get back to Bregman in a little bit. Story with the K, though. Couple outs. And then Romy coming up with another base hit. Good game for Romy here tonight. But then with 2 outs, they sent Narvaez home. Not a fan. Not a fan of it. I'm okay with being aggressive, but at the same time, you got Rob Refsnyder coming up next, and I know you got 2 outs. And maybe you could say it's a good moment to maybe try and go for it, take advantage of the base runners that you got, but it just felt a little desperate to me. I don't know. When you got Refsnyder coming up against the lefty with Erod up there, I haven't even mentioned Erod here, old friend Eduardo Rodriguez. I don't know. I just wasn't really a fan. Now, I'll say this. If it was Duran on second base, well, that's a whole different story. But you got Carlos Narvaez, who ranks 12th percentile when it comes to his speed. I mean, Connor Wong, heck, even if it's Connor Wong over at second base, I think you could send him too. But Carlos Narvaez, he's just not the speediest of guys. You send him home, he gets thrown out. I'm not sending Narvaez in that situation. Sure. Base is loaded. You don't come up with anything. Could you look back and say, oh, maybe we should have sent Narvaez there? But I get it. Hindsight's a thing. But I like Refsnyder against the lefty with the bases loaded. That's kind of where I'm at with that. I was not a big fan. You only got 1 base runner over the next 4 innings. Erod just completely settled in. And then the 8th inning. The 8th inning, Narvaez making up for getting thrown out. He came up with the 24th double of his season. Duran with the walk. Bregman getting back to him. RBI double made it 6-3. Story, base hit. What does Story always do when he gets on first? He steals second, of course. 26th steal on the year. Romy with the sac fly. Scored Bregman. They made it 6-4. Here's Refsnyder. Let's prove my point a little bit. Not like I need to, because we all know how good Refsnyder is against lefties. Getting the double off to Letty Southrank made it 6-5. But then you had the lefty-lefty matchup against Nate Lowe. Got him to fly out. Nate Eaton striking out. So there goes your rally. And then the bullpen. Yeah. I mean, like I said, Weissert, Murphy, hats off to them. You know, they held it down. They ate some innings. And I also liked Weissert coming in when he did. Remember the last time out against Cleveland, you know, giving up the big home run there, you know, and so I like him coming in a low leverage spot to, you know, after a day off, trying to help bounce back a little bit, get his mojo back a little bit. Murphy, you know, he went a few innings there. That's good for the bullpen for the rest of the series. That's going to help out. And then Slayton coming in, 8th inning. He just had no command. Like I said at the beginning of the show, he just looked average to me. You know, the velo was fine, but I don't know. Just didn't have that same bite with the velo. The breaking stuff wasn't really doing much, really at all. You know, Locklear with the base hit. The cutter just didn't really cut. It was just fat right over the plate. Barossa with the base hit. Curveball up. And then Perdomo, he struck out Ketel Marte. That was a big out. And then Perdomo strikes again, just like he did earlier in the game. Base hit, made it 7-5. Cutter, right over the middle of the plate. Corbin Carroll, 3-run shot, made it 10-5. Curveball up in the zone. Bad location. Still a lot of work to do with Justin Slayton. And that was it here tonight. Not much else, really, to talk about. You know, yeah, it was fun. They made it competitive there in the 8th inning, but, you know, it is what it is. It's still a bummer of a game in the end. It's like, I looking back on this one, yeah, it's nice to come back there, but, you know, at least I just wish they could have at least made it look a bit more competitive in the end instead of just getting blown out there, you know, in the bottom half, but it is what it is. All right, everybody, let's get this one out of the way. Let's move on. We're going to game 2 here. We're going to game 2, and let's check out the updated standings. Let's see what's going on here. And luckily, nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy here tonight. You still got a nice position in the wild card standings. You know, I wish we could be talking division here, but you know what can you do? What can you do? The Blue Jays, they win again here tonight, beating the Yankees. Beating the Yankees. Taking a look, Blue Jays 82-59. They're now up 4 games on the Yankees. So they've just started their set here tonight. And then the Yankees 78-63. The Red Sox 78-64. The Red Sox remain half a game back. But hey, if you're able to pull this one out, you would have had the first wild card. It is what it is. But the Mariners, they lose again. They've lost their 4th straight. The Rangers win. The Rangers are playing good baseball as of late. The Rangers are a half game behind the Mariners. So that's getting tight there. I mean, it was already tight, but it is mucho tight right now. The Rangers coming on strong. The Royals also win. They're a game behind. Don't tell me the Mariners are going to blow this 3rd wild card. That is crazy. The Rays, they came on strong here as of late too. They lost here tonight. They're 2 games back. The Guardians, they beat the Rays, so they're 2.5. So all of a sudden, you have, for the 3rd wild card spot, you got 5 teams. We got 4 teams within 2.5 games. So all of a sudden, this AL wild card, it's getting juicy for that 3rd wild card spot. So let's move on to game 2 here tomorrow. Luckily, nothing crazy. The Yankees did lose, so at least you keep pace I guess. Hopefully the Red Sox, they can take advantage if the Yankees do lose another game against the Blue Jays. But I got to say here, the Blue Jays, they're looking pretty good. Looking pretty good here. Taking care of business here tonight. Let's move on to Game 2. Moving on to Game 2. And, ladies and gentlemen, we do have Lucas Giolito on the mound for tomorrow. Do have him on the mound here tomorrow. Giolito's been very solid as of late. And but the guy that I'm going to be focusing on here tonight, I'm going to be focusing on one guy in the lineup. And that actually brings us to our DraftKings player spotlight. And the guy that I'm taking a look at is Nate Lowe, the guy that had the triple earlier in this one here tomorrow. Mr. Nathaniel Lowe, Mr. Nate Lowe. Like I said, this guy's been great. He has been fantastic for the Red Sox since coming over. Overall in the year, he's only hitting .225, a 300 on base, 692 OPS, but that was after a dreadful majority of the season with the Nationals. Since coming to the Red Sox here, he's hitting .325, a 391 on base, a 600 on the slugging, and 991 OPS overall, a couple of homers. He's been getting some extra base hits. He just looks like a completely different hitter here. Nathaniel Lowe, Nate Lowe, he's looking absolutely fantastic. And the reason I like him for tomorrow, because going up against Brandon Pfaadt, he has had a lot of success against him in his career, hitting .556 over 9 ABs with a 1,600 OPS, 1 home run, couple of ribbies off of him. I'm liking Nate Lowe for the over, whether or not you want to go with a home run, whether or not you want to go with just a good game overall, you know, the hits, the RBIs, the runs, whatever you want to go with. I think Nate Lowe is a good guy to go with, whatever offensive category you want to go with for tomorrow. As for the game itself, on DraftKings, the Dbacks, they're at -164 for the run line. The Red Sox are at +134. But for the money line, the Red Sox are at -120. Dbacks at -101. So that'll be interesting for tomorrow. But I really do like Nate Lowe in this one for tomorrow, especially with the track record that he has against Pfaadt. So I would definitely go over on him for tomorrow. But everybody, go over to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code FOUL. That's code FOUL, F-O-U-L, to get $200 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet. And plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. I know we're talking baseball here, but football season is back on the menu, ladies and gentlemen. So go take advantage in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. I'll be right back.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY and 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Alrighty. Let's get to the rest of this one here. So Giolito on the year, 10-2, 3.38 ERA. Last start against the Pirates, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned. He did walk 5. The command was a bit wonky. 5 walks, 6 Ks overall. Like I said with the Dbacks against Peyton Tolle here tonight, you're going to see a lot of bat on ball with the Dbacks. They're going to make a lot of contact. They're not going to strike out very much. So I think the key for Giolito tomorrow, he's got to hit his spots. He's got to go change-ups low. He's got to mix in those sliders. He's got to go velo up. I will say this. This year, the Diamondbacks, they are doing pretty well against change-ups, but they're not doing very well against sliders. They actually rank in the bottom 10 when it comes to run value against sliders. So I think that could be a key pitch for Giolito tomorrow. But I think like we saw here today, I think if you just see more competitive sequences, right? Not just pouring in stuff over the plate too much. Really just work around the zones, you know? Get these guys to try and bite a little bit on those change-ups down and below the zone, all right? You know, just change eye levels, change locations. I think that's a recipe for success against the Diamondbacks here, because you saw the complete opposite here tonight. Patoli, he just wasn't really changing any eye levels. He wasn't really locating to different quadrants. So I think that could be something for Giolito to really work on for tomorrow, and I think you could see a competitive outing. So, but everybody, I'm going to wrap it up right there. We are out of time here, and it's late. I know we all want to go to bed. It is 1:15 in the morning on the East Coast here. We're all tired, and that was a bummer of a game. Bummer of a game here tonight. Hopefully Giolito can pick it back up here tomorrow, and we'll see if maybe the Blue Jays can help us out in the wild card race this weekend. We'll see. Everybody, I'm out of here. Corbin Barrels. I love that name, by the way. That's fantastic. Yes, post-game show tomorrow. The game tomorrow is at 8 o'clock, so we will be here a little earlier tomorrow night. And then the game on Sunday is at 4 o'clock. So this is the only late one this weekend. Everybody, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Again, let me know in the comments after the show. Let me know what you think of camera stuff. Looking to get your feedback on that. If you are listening to this via podcast format, obviously you can't do that. But come on over to YouTube and go check it out for yourself. Everybody, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching tonight. Go get some sleep. We'll see you tomorrow.